The people in James's day did not know when Christ was coming. They thought it might be in their lifetime. It might not. But they believed that it would be soon. And they lived with this exhilaration of the coming of the Lord. They were excited that Christ was going to come back. They longed for his return. I mean, they were living in extremely difficult times. The church at that time throughout the Mediterranean was being kicked around like a soccer ball. Things were not easy for them. And because of that, they were longing for his return. They were getting impatient, waiting for him to return. Today, things are not exactly easy all the time. Jesus never promised that our lives as Christians would be a bed of roses, would be simple. In fact, he says you're going to have tribulation. You're going to have trouble. You're going to be thrown in jail. Things are going to happen you're not going to like, and you're going to get impatient about it. Life is hard. But I have to wonder, do we live with this exhilarating expectation of Christ's return? Do we? Or do we just put it off and don't even think about it? Are we going to be like the people in Noah's day who had no clue? And all of a sudden it happens like, oh yeah, I remember hearing something about this. I don't think it'll be that flippant, but we need to live with this anxious, exhilarating idea of knowing that Christ could come at any time. See, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, hey, life is great. I hope Jesus comes back. We never say that. We say, man, life is tough. I wish he would come back. But we don't. It's been said that life is too comfortable and things too important for us to want to leave this world. We don't want to leave this world. I've got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I'm sitting there thinking, I may never see them graduate, high school or college. I may never see them get married. I may never have a house again where they're not there and it's quiet. You know? I may never get to see that. I may never get to experience that. You know, I've got my bucket list of things I want to do. I may never get to do those things. But I realize that's okay. Because believe me, what's going to happen after Christ comes back is going to be 1,000 times better than anything I could ever imagine. But the world wants to keep us here. In our modern Western society, there's just way too much here. And we got to wonder, do we long for his return? Now, James tells them to be patient. Now, when he's telling them to be patient, he's not saying just all right, I'm just going to sit here and those people who just have no problem waiting. They just, okay, I'm happy. Just sit there. It's not that kind of patience. No, it is an active patience. It is I'm not just going to sit here and just wait. I am waiting and I'm being patient for him to come back, but I'm doing something. I am going to be actively doing what God wants me to do while I'm patiently waiting for his return. It's this active expectancy of waiting for Christ to come back. And he uses the example of a farmer. Now, I love to plant. I have a garden, and I've got garden boxes, and I'm always looking forward to this day. Because this, according to the Farmer's Almanac, is the day where you can safely plant things outside, and chances are they won't die. But we know in Indiana things happen. So there could be a frost this week and a bunch of plants will die. But a farmer will wait patiently for the rains to come in the spring and the fall. At least during the time in Middle East, that's the way it was. Here, we wait for the spring. We wait for the ground, the temperature to be just right so we can get out and we can clear the fields and we can plant the seed, hopefully before it rains, So then it rains in the spring, in late April, and the plant grows. Because without the rain, the seed doesn't germinate. It doesn't happen. But see, that's all part of God's process. And James is using the example of the farmer to show us that God has created this process. And in the same way, he's created a process for you and me to be waiting patiently. He doesn't just do this just to bother us or to cause us grief. He makes us wait patiently to teach us, to help us grow spiritually. See, when we submit to God's processes, for some reason, I don't know why, there's stress involved. I don't know about you, as I'm waiting for things, I get stressed. I get stressed because I have no control over it, right? I have no control over a lot of things, and I hate it because I like having control over things. I am a control freak, and I have to temper it, very much so. And I've learned to temper it. And you know how I've learned to temper it? God's taking control away from me. That's how he does it. When things aren't happening the way we want them to, he does things to us to help us grow spiritually. So we are being patient and waiting on him, and it teaches us patience. That's why people will say, don't ever pray for patience, because the only way you get it is to experience a time when you will be impatient. So it's going to drive you crazy. But you know what I do all the time? I constantly pray for patience. And it teaches me, and I grow. And that's part of God's plan. It's how he does it.